This year, Apple will finally join with the pretty silly trend of making bendy phones. But will the iPhone Flex or Ultra or whatever they call it in the end actually matter? Or will it make no sense like all the others? Let's talk about it. Want the latest Apple news, leaks and rumours? Subscribe and ring the bell. Analyst Jeff Pu has put out his predicted specs for the device, and before we deep dive, here's the headlines. A launch in September of 2026, 7.8-inch inner display and 5.3-inch outer. The brand new 2nm A20 Pro chip with 12GB of LPD5 RAM, probably around 2/3 of the phone's cost by then, and the C2 chip for cellular, a pair of 18-megapixel FaceTime cameras, one for each display, a pair of 48-megapixel cameras in what looks like an iPhone Air style bar, a distinct lack of Face ID anywhere, and aluminium and titanium construction. So there's a few concerns about Apple's creation, not least the tiny outer display, and, well, let's hand over to this question from the comments to find out what people are worried about. Pokemon Scarlet 18 asks iCaveAnswers, why did Apple make such a small 5.3 to 5.5-inch outer display for the foldable iPhone, while Google and Samsung have much bigger 6.7-inch outer displays? That's too small. Do you think they'll make a bigger one with the second generation? You know I can't stand small screens. And yes, if there is one thing that Pokemon Scarlet is famous for on this channel, it's can screens be bigger, please? So, here's the thing. 5.3 inches does sound small. I get it. Now, Apple hasn't built it around compromise from what I can see, but you might be thinking the iPhone mini had a 5.4-inch display, but that diagonal is not the whole story. Aspect ratio is a thing. And I think it's important to remember what the outer display is going to be for, because the focus that Apple's going for is the inner display being an iPad-like ratio of 2:3. And that means that apps for the iPad will already basically fit, and using iPad-style multi-window support will be good. The outer screen is just wide but shorter than a typical iPhone. So while other foldables might have super tall, skinny displays in folded mode, which gives a squarer 1.1 to 1 ratio, the problem with that is that you end up with a super tiny keyboard on the outside. And I don't think that's going to be too much of a concern here. I mean, look at this thing. That is a beefy boy of a keyboard. And even if Apple sticks with 4 wide for the icons, you'll still get a solid 20 apps on that outer display. And really, you're going to be using that outer display for sending replies to messages and that kind of thing. When you want to sit down and do stuff with the phone, you're going to open it. Oh yeah, and I made myself a little mock-up. Sadly, my 3D printer is a little bit small to print the whole thing, so I cut bits out of foam board and printed out some displays to stick on. Like, I'm not trying to sell this thing to anyone, but it does give you a good idea of how this thing is going to look in terms of the size. I'm just trying to understand for myself the dimensions. It also turned out that the phone board is only 0.5 millimeter thicker than the rumoured iPhone at 4.5mm thick. This stuff is 5mm, so it really doesn't give a bad indication of what this thing is going to look like. But what you can see is that the icons on the outer display are fine, nice and spacious, just losing a horizontal row, and it certainly feels more spacious than the old iPhone mini, which had a 5.4-inch diagonal display, because that display was tall and slim, similar to a current iPhone aspect ratio, while this feels a lot more like a miniature iPad. The other really handy thing, which I think is probably the case with the other foldables as well, is you can film yourself using the high-quality 48-megapixel cameras, while also being able to see how you're framed on the outer display. So obviously you're not going to be looking at yourself while you're doing it, but you can make sure, you know, from your peripheral vision that you are still in frame properly. So that's going to be perfect for creators who might be making TikToks, Reels, or other short-form videos. Even the old-school vlogging content. The inner display genuinely feels like a mini iPad. It's around 0.5 inch smaller on the diagonal, but with the same aspect ratio, and almost the same size as the original iPad mini, which had a 7.9-inch display, just without these chunky bezels on the new ones, obviously. So this iPhone Fold will be fantastic for creators, and I'm going to assume that the inner display will act just like an iPad, because although Apple brands iOS and iPadOS as different now, they're essentially still sharing the same code base, so using those universal binaries for apps that can work on either display size will be awesome. And speaking of creators, Apple's Creator Studio that was announced last week launches at the end of January and may also be targeted at this device. So this could be the first iPhone ever to be able to run Final Cut Pro, Logic Pro, and Pixelmator Pro. Very nice marketing angle that Apple would be able to capitalize on. The lack of Face ID kind of makes sense. Having a pair of those sensor sets to unlock when open or closed would be tricky, but also the thin chassis will be an issue. At 4.5mm thin, there just isn't the depth required, especially with a display on both sides of that outer display side, and the depth of the camera bump couldn't be used either because the bar will be on the other side of the inner display. Putting a power button Touch ID sensor on either the top or the side of the device, like with Apple's non-Pro iPads, makes the most sense as it's accessible in both configurations. I think the biggest win, if Apple truly has pulled it off though, is making a folding display without a perceivable crease. The biggest annoyance and one of the most called out issues with folding phones so far has been the visible crease, distorting the display at the fold, and noticeable when you're running your fingers across the surface. Samsung, however, one of Apple's primary OLED suppliers, showcased creaseless displays at CES recently, and from my understanding, a metal plate moves into place behind the display to support underneath and achieve this when it's opened. Apple's also recently patented a system for detecting obstructions and locking the hinge so that the device can't be closed with debris that could damage the display. That could also be quite helpful for MacBooks, which have super tight tolerances that have led to display damage too in the past, and in the future, I don't think it's unreasonable that we will be seeing some folding display MacBooks. But how much will all of this cost? Apple has surprised us in recent years with their pricing in both directions. Vision Pro arrived with a higher price than the industry had predicted, greeted by a sharp intake of breath from the audience at Apple Park.
Starts at $34.
At the same time, Apple has been making the best value Macs in history, with the M4 16GB Mac Mini launching at just $599, and Apple's A series powered MacBook in the very near future, so I don't really know where this is going to fall. I think extremely optimistically my brain thinks $1499, but then the Galaxy Fold 7 runs between $1649 and $1999, so let me know in the comments where you think this starting price is likely to be. And if you're excited, are you planning to buy one of these? Thank you to the Patreons. Leave your comments and questions below with hashtag iCaveAnswers, and I will see you in the next one. Want the latest Apple news, leaks and rumours? Subscribe and ring the bell.